Good day, and thank you for joining us on the ACPAC CRM 5.7 overview sessions. Today we're going to give a quick overview of the workflow section of ACPAC CRM. I can tell you now I've logged in as the system administrator. You can see that by the context area across the top. On the left-hand side, I have an administration button which has been added to my main menu, which I've selected now, and this gets me my features and functions within the administrative section of ACPAC CRM. If I select the Advanced Customization button on the main menu on the left, you can see on the far right here I have a couple options here, workflow and escalation configuration. So you can see here the configuration is quite simply, what are we going to use workflow for? Cases, opportunities, leads. Do we actually want to use workflow for companies and people? So you may want to have different sales or support workflows for better clients, your higher priority clients or certain people, etc. So you have that ability to do that. Workflow for knowledge-based solutions also. Okay? The interval notification, how often our notification engine pings the server and sends off notifications, etc. So we don't get into too much detail here. I'm going to go back a page to advanced customization and then go into the workflow section. As you can see here within the sample data, we've set up 4 distinct workflows, and I'll actually click on the opportunity workflow itself. Okay? Workflow to me is quite simply if-then statements. And when you design a workflow, you put in what I like to call the big rocks first. So these are the stages or the states of your process. So a new lead comes into the website. Okay, what do you want to happen to that lead? Well, the next stage for us is then qualify. Well, you might want to submit a proposal right away if they're really interested, or say a person's going on vacation, they may need to reassign that. So with ACPAC CRM, you can see here the new opportunity at the stage of lead, and then so that's our if statement, and then means, okay, then we want to qualify, or we want to submit a proposal, or you can see the reassign button up here towards the right-hand side. Now, why the reassign button is there with a little pink circle, quite simply, it's what we call a global rule. And that means I don't have to continually add that to every branch of the workflow. It's global, so therefore it will appear as an option to my salespeople on every screen. Okay? So let's actually turn workflow off so I can show you in a little more detail. I'm going to disable that. Okay? So as we move down the workflow slightly, we gave our first example. So let's say we qualified that lead. So we're now at the stage of qualified after we've completed it, correct? So what are my options for my sales folks? Well, we're going to negotiate the deal. Now let's submit a proposal, demonstrate, and then again, the reassign button will also be available. So behind the scenes, this is how you create this information, okay? Now how do I create a state? Well, it's quite simple. On the right-hand side, I've got a new state button. So you know what? Our company uses intermediaries. So that's going to be a state. So that's for all contract approvals. So this is just an example I'm using. Select Save. So now you can see at the top, Intermediary has been added as an option for us to use. Well, how do I put that option into action? Well, quite simply, I drag and drop it. So I'm going to drag and drop Intermediary right underneath the stage of lead. And you can see here, lead to intermediary has been added. So we call that now a transition rule. All right? We are going from the stage of lead to that intermediary process. So what do we want to happen? Or what data do we want to capture at that transition? And since that's a new one, it will be blank. I'm actually going to go over and click on the qualify transition rule. You can also see up in the upper left-hand corner here, these are the available rules. So I can drill down from this drop-down list here. Let's actually click on the qualify rule. Okay? So now what you're seeing again is the screen that pops up, or the data or the information that tells the screen what to look like from a user perspective. And this is an administrative screen. So we name the rule qualify. Okay. Is it available for us to clone? No, not in this case. We have enabled this rule, so you can enable or disable individual rules within a workflow, which is very important. If it's not working, you turn it off. Okay? Across the top, you can see here we have different types of rules. Conditional rules, in other words, it's going to happen only by one particular condition. The global rule, which we discussed already. The primary rule is your initial rule that always occurs. Okay. The transition rule we discussed is what we're looking at now. It's a transition between two particular stages. And then an escalation rule, and that's going to pop off some kind of notification, SMS message, email to escalate or announce a certain stage or state within your workflow. Okay. You can put images, and that would actually come up on the screen as a button for your users to select. I can restrict this information to a particular team if I so choose. Okay. We can also call custom files, and of course we assign a specific order. If I have multiple rules within a particular state, I can have them trigger off by a particular order here, and an interval time. I can even put JavaScript conditions on here, so you can imagine it's very powerful that I can put these condition types, accessing external databases, validating data, etc. What you see at the bottom here is the workflow actions for this rule. So basically these are fields that will be available for your users to populate data, and I can have as many as I want. So when we got to the stages qualified within an opportunity, you would see the opportunity user ID number, the stage, and the status is all I have on this particular example. Okay. Now at the lower left-hand corner, you can see the New button. And this is where we have all of our different intricate features and functions that you can have occur within this transition rule in this particular case. So I'm going to let you absorb this page for just a second, because there are a limited number of things that you can do. Okay. ACPAC CRM Workflow may be one of the most powerful features we have in this product, because behind the scenes, when a user clicks on the tab Qualify, that particular person gets a new screen with some data capture fields. How much money you're willing to spend. Are you the decision maker? Are you going to make a decision in the next 90 days? Those general questions that you ask at a qualification stage. But behind the scenes, the system is creating a follow-up task 48 hours later for your salesperson or somebody else in the organization to call and make sure that they got all the information they needed. Okay. We may be merging a thank you letter for their interest in our products and services. Send off an SMS message to my salesperson or an email in the field saying, hey, you have a brand new lead, or we have qualified the lead for you. You need to give them a call and follow up for a secondary stage if they're very interested. So I could give 1,000 different examples, and maybe more importantly is, of course, you can execute SQL statements and run stored procedures. So again, validating data, and we're not going to limit you to the extensibility of this workflow. Okay, very powerful, very powerful. So obviously, if at this transition rule at the stage of qualified, we wanted to pop off an email, I simply select email, I put in the details of the email, I can even attach files to that email, and send it off. So you can see it's very simple to design. You walk through the setup of the system. Okay? So I'm going to go back to our original page here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn workflow back on. I'm going to give you a visual of what it looks like from the front end. So let's actually change workflow again, enable it. Let's actually cancel out of it altogether. That should be okay, since I added that intermediary. Alright. I'm going to go back to my main menu now, and I'm going to right-click on the New button, and I'm going to create a new opportunity. And we can search for particular companies to put this opportunity against. Persons within that organization, multiple people, obviously. Okay. This customer's interested in widgets, so we put in a description. I'm very interested in our stainless steel widgets. So this is very different for every organization. Obviously, we all sell different products and services. The asterisk represents a mandatory field within the sales opportunity. In this case, our sample data is for software, so we're going to do a mix of widgets and installation. Okay. The wave activity, interesting enough, is obviously, well, not obviously, but wave activity is our term for marketing activity. So I can actually attach marketing activities. The key question is, how did you hear about us? Well, I looked you up in the Yellow Pages. You attach the Yellow Page ad to this particular opportunity to give our sales folks budget versus cost analysis. The status is at lead, or the stage is at lead. Status is in progress. We may not know a forecast amount, but I'll just put some numbers in here so you can see that. Certainty to close can be tied to our workflow stages. So if I want that to auto-populate with a certain number, I would have done that within the workflow design. Okay? System administrator will leave as the assigned to the team. We'll assign it to direct sales, and we're going to close this opportunity. Oh, today is the last day of the month. I'll hit save. So we've created an opportunity in the system, and as you can see, or you cannot see, since I left workflow off, we were unable to see the workflow. So I'm going to re-enable that. Makes the video a little bit longer, but it gives you the idea of what happens when you don't have workflow turned on. You can still use this system. It's not like you have to turn everything if things don't work. I can absolutely use this system. It does not make a difference at all. But I'll show you what it looks like when workflow is turned on now. Okay. Just fill in some data here. And I think I got everything. And save. Okay, so the difference is in the lower right-hand corner now. Now I have workflow options. So let's say, for example, an inside sales rep did a follow-up call for a trade show. They contacted the customer, asked them if they enjoyed the trade show, if they got all the resources that they were promised, and the customer says, yes, I'm really interested in those stainless steel widgets. So the inside sales rep creates an opportunity, as you just saw, and then assigns that to a salesperson, or it lets the territory manager assign it automatically, depending on territories and their securities. So the inside sales rep takes the opportunity that they created. It's automatically routed out to your salespeople in the field, and then these are the options or the business rules that you want them to follow. This is what's successful for your organization. So remember the stage of qualified. I'm going to click qualify, and you can see those three fields that we had available. If you recall, within the building of the workflow, we had stage, status, and the person that it's assigned to. We've added a tracking note here, on-site demo of widgets. So that is all the salesperson has to do. Now, mind you, if you have 100 questions you want them to ask within the stage of qualified, then you would add those fields within the workflow manager that we showed earlier. So now you can see back in the lower right-hand corner, we've progressed our opportunity to the stage of qualified, and here's our if-then statement again. If qualified, then submit proposal, reassign, negotiate, demo. And let's just walk through a demo here. Now you can see our fields have changed. Mandatory fields for certainty to close, and the forecasted amount. So you really assist your salespeople in walking through what it is, the information that you need to close business and to learn from your sales cycles. Put in some data here, click Save. So again, you can see we're walking through the stages, and you may have very short sales cycles, or you may have very long sales cycles. And in the longer ones, this system really helps because it can pop off brochures, it can pop off reminders. In essence, it ties into marketing to do a drip-type marketing campaign. Or in short sales cycles, I can go in, I can right-click New, I can create new opportunity, and bingo. Or create new quote or order for retail environments, and it'll create an opportunity and close it automatically for me. Let's go ahead and click Sold here on this. Change some more numbers. Very nice. Save. Okay. So now, to our executive team, the reports, this is a closed deal, you've got a total quoted amount, etc. And let's show one more thing before we move on here. Tracking and audit trail. We track in time and date stamp everyone that was involved, when they were involved, how long they were involved, and again, at each stage of the workflow. So, in other words, you can tell the sales cycle by each individual opportunity. Okay? I want to thank you for joining me today on the ACPAC CRM Workflow Administrator session, and look for more videos